Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, so welcome everyone. This is officially page management and creation, and based on my Mentimeter, we are all feeling very, very new at this. So I will try to go at a slower pace and make sure everyone's kind of comfortable with where we're at with things. But at any point you have any questions, please do not hesitate to stop me and ask. I much prefer like an interactive setting, which Zoom does not really lend itself to. So I would just love for people to kind of holler out or raise your hand or whatever you need to do, and I will kind of stop and assess at that point. So just a little bit about me. I am Carrie Gardner. I work in the Blue Valley School District in Overland Park, Kansas. I spent 9 years as an elementary art teacher and then moved into an instructional coaching role. And then from there, I am now the blended learning coordinator for our district. So we're a pretty big district. We have 21 elementary schools, well, big for Kansas, I should say. 21 elementary schools, 9 middle schools, and 5 high schools. And my role is K-12, but I kind of bring more of an elementary lens. With that said, this can apply across the board in regards to page creation. That can be used at any level. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right in. If I can get my next button to work. Okay, perfect. So when beginning to use Canvas, a lot of people wonder, like, why would I use a page? Like, what does this page mean? How am I going to use this? What's the difference between a module and a page and an assignment? And you start to just kind of, it all gets a little bit blurred in your brain on when you should use what and how. But during the session, we will kind of explore how you can actually create a page and then also talk about just the management of pages as well. But I want to share this graphic. This graphic is kind of a nice little yes or no. Yes, I should be using a page. No, I should not. And really the first question is, will students be interacting, submitting, replying, etc. with the item? And if the answer to that is no, then a page is what you are looking for. And when I say submitting and replying and interacting, I don't mean that they're like, a page is a great place to put a video. So yes, technically they're interacting because they're watching that video, but they're not submitting anything back to you. They're just watching it. Maybe it's a graphic that you have embedded that they're going to look at. Maybe it is some text that you want them to read, but there isn't a call to action at the end of it. And I share this graphic because if you're thinking, well, yeah, they're going to turn in an assignment or they're going to turn something into me. Okay, then maybe you want an assignment. Or yes, I want them actually to share something where everyone can see it. So then maybe you're looking at a discussion. So this graphic I think is nice because all of the things that you see on this page can then be housed inside a module. And I think that's one of the questions I get asked the most is what's the difference between a page and a module? And the truth is a page can live inside a module. But then the tricky part is a page can also live independently. It doesn't have to live inside a module. For instance, a home page. A home page is just a page that you build in Canvas that is a landing spot for your students. It doesn't live in a module. You could have a parent information page that you don't need to live in a module. So I almost think about it as like a notebook, right? A loose leaf notebook. So I have this spiral bound notebook and that can be my module. But if I have pages that don't need to be in a certain order, I could rip those pages out and have them live independently and not have to be inside a module or a notebook. And a page really is just a place for you to be able to put things on it for your students to view, for your students to interact with, but not in that they are submitting something back to you. So it's kind of more of a one way, if you will. So we're going to kind of look at that. But before we do, I want to talk about page management. I will be the first to admit that when I look at my pages index page, it stresses me out. Let me give you a little preview of that. I'm going to hop into my Canvas course. And maybe I am. Here we go. So this is my Canvas course that I've been using for this training session today. I kind of talked about other pieces in other sessions. So I'm going to really just focus on pages for this. But if I click on my pages in Canvas and I go to view all pages, this page overwhelms me. And some of you may be looking at this and thinking, yep, that overwhelms me too. And when you think in this course so far, I have really only created about 1 week, two subject areas, but 1 week worth of material. And I already have a lot of scrolling to do within this page's index page. It can become very overwhelming very fast. Unfortunately, as of right now, there is no way to folderize these pages other than using modules, which are then like live for your students if they're published. I'm hoping at some point Canvas will hear our cry and create some sort of way to organize this page's index page, because it can be a lot. So before you even really begin creating in Canvas, you might want to think about, what structure do I want to use for naming my pages? I'm going to just hop into another course. Oh, hold on. Before I do, sorry. If you'll look at this course, I have used emojis. My math emoji indicates that it's a page that relates to my math content. If it has books, it relates to our ILIT. We use an integrated literacy for our ILIT, or for our literacy and science and social studies. So any of those are indicated by this book. And so that does help me organize this index page. I now know everything with this book is part of my integrated literacy block. Everything with this abacus is part of my math. So I did this intentionally, obviously presenting today, to kind of show how you could use some visuals. And I do that on my keyboard. I am on a Mac, but the quick key is Control Command Spacebar, brings up an emoji keyboard. I know there is an equivalent quick key on a PC. I just don't know what it is. Sorry, guys. But I was very intentional with my naming on this page. I also, and I'll show you another one of my courses where I was not intentional and it became really, really difficult. So let me hop in and I'll show you that real quick. So this is just like a sandbox course that I have been using, that I was just playing in over the summer. And so when you come in here and you look at my pages, this really stresses me out. Like, it's all just alphabetical and I don't know what goes where, and it's a lot and it's very overwhelming. So I was not intentional with my naming when I started this course, and now this index page is very difficult to navigate. But in thinking about this session today and creating this course for you all, for this training, I was very intentional about my naming. I set my course up with modules for a week's worth of content. And so you'll notice that this naming is actually week 1, Friday, week 1, Monday, week 1, Thursday, week 1, Tuesday, week 1, Wednesday, and so on and so forth. And then it will jump into, I haven't made a week 2 yet, but I have for my math. So then this is like week 2, Monday. And so then all my week 2 stuff would be together. So again, I was very intentional when I thought about what I wanted to name my pages. So for those of you, it looks like by my Mentimeter, a lot of you are just getting started. So this is perfect. You're kind of starting with a blank slate. So think about what you might want to name your pages, so that way it doesn't become just like hodgepodge of names and you're not able to quickly find things. I do want to show you one other little tip that I like to use that it's not really a Canvas tip, but again, on my Mac, I can press Command F, and then I could search for read. And then it's going to basically show me any page titles that have the word read in it. Again, I know that there's a similar quick key on a PC. I just don't know what it is, but you can actually use that find feature on a Canvas index page to be able to also kind of help you get to maybe what you're looking for. Obviously, read wasn't the best example because I have 22 of those on this page, but if I was looking for something more specific, obviously I could type that in and be able then to maybe find that page that I want to work on.
Carrie, this is Peggy, and on a PC, it is Windows, period.
That's for the emoji keyboard, right?
Correct.
Oh, thank you, Peggy. Windows, period. Perfect. So yeah, so both places have that option to add that emoji. Thank you for unmuting and sharing that with us. I appreciate that. Yeah, so.
What was it on a Mac again? I'm sorry.
It is Control Command Spacebar.
Thank you.
And let me kind of show you guys just real quickly. Well, while I have you, I'll go ahead and do a new page. And then, so Control Command Spacebar brings up that emoji keyboard. And so then maybe I'm going to put a crayon in there. Who knows? All right. Okay. So that is more kind of about the management piece. Like I said, there is really, until they create some sort of folderizing, there's not a way in Pages to do that. So it's really how you name things that are going to affect how that is displayed.
Hey, Carrie,
Yes.
can you reuse these pages? Like if I have a course, it's a 9-week course and I have one, it changes. Can I go back and get these pages and reuse them?
Yes.
Okay.
Probably, I've said this a lot today. I'm like, oh, this is one of my favorite features of Canvas. But this really probably might be my favorite feature of Canvas. You do not have to reinvent the wheel. Like it is so easy to copy from one course to another. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and jump down that rabbit hole. Stick with me, guys, but this is a good one for me to show. So in settings, you have the ability to like even just like export your whole course. Or if I have stuff I want to bring into this course, so let's say this is actually my second 9-week course, I can just click on this import course content and I can do this copy a Canvas course. And then I can type in the course name of the stuff I want to get. So this would be like my Q1 course. And I can then bring in all of that content, or it even gives me the option to select specific content from that course to bring in. So Canvas makes it super easy to be able to transfer your content from one course to another. So yeah, I will
Okay,
say.
but what if I don't want to bring in my whole course? I just want to bring in 2 of the pages.
Perfect. Okay, so just 2 of the pages. This is a brand new feature. They just rolled it out this summer. These 3 dots right here, do you see this copy to?
Yep.
I can click on that, and then I can search for a course, elementary. Hopefully I have a course. Yeah, I'm an admin, so I have a lot of courses that I have access to. So I could select a course and then copy this page right into that course. It's called direct copy or direct share. So it now is even easier just to do 1 or 2 pages. Actually, that's what I did to kind of build this course for you guys is I pulled in stuff from my other courses, but I didn't want the whole thing. I only wanted portions of it. So that's copy to. And while we're here, this send to allows you to send a page to a colleague. So let's say I have a teammate that also wants to use this page. I can actually type in their email address and send that to them. So some really nice features that just rolled out for Canvas with that.
So if you have the same assignment in 5, 6, 7 different classes, you can export it all at once?
Yep. Yeah.
That is awesome because it's been a nightmare before.
Yeah, it makes it super easy. Now, is it Trish that's speaking? No, who's speaking?
Yes.
Yes. If you are basically doing the exact same thing in 5 classes, you might want to talk to your admin about cross-listing. And again, this is a little tangent I'm going off on, but cross-listing actually brings all of those classes that you teach basically the exact same thing into one course, but then they're listed as separate sections, and you can then differentiate due dates by section. So basically then you're using that same assignment, but differentiating when it's due for each of your classes, but you're only then having to create it once. Okay. So that might be something you look into and talk with an admin about, because that might save you a whole lot of trouble.
And what was that called again?
It's called cross-listing.
Cross-listing.
Yep, basically allowing, I think about as a secondary teacher, if I were teaching 4 Algebra 1 course classes, I would bring all 4 of those Algebra 1 course classes into one course. And then because I'm giving them all the same content, but then I can differentiate their due dates by section, by class.
Okay, so I teach like one certain class. I teach art classes. So
yeah.
I have like art 1, but I have it in 2 different periods.
Yep. You can cross-list those 2 periods, and then they would live in one course shell. You only have to design everything once, but then anything you want to differentiate, you can differentiate by different period, which would be called a section.
A section. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I know you guys didn't sign up for like cross-listing 101, but I just can't help not answer questions like that.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
it could make your life so much easier.
Yeah, because I have to admit, I despise Canvas because of that reason.
Oh,
I
no, don't despise it quite yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything I could do to put my assignments in because I was putting them in 3 and 4 and 5 times. And it's like,
Nope.
this is ridiculous.
No, don't do that. Make it easier on yourself. Canvas,
All right.
like, if you got stuff like that is like driving you crazy about Canvas, I like just encourage you to reach out to some, like I have an elementary for Canvas Facebook group. If there's stuff that like, I know there has to be a more efficient way, like come join my Facebook group, ask those questions, because most times, I'll say 9 out of 10 times, there will be an easier way. Now there is going to be that 10th time that's not, that it doesn't exist yet, like folders and pages, but 9 times out of 10, there's normally an easier way that can make it more efficient for you. So
You've already made it so much nicer.
oh, good. At least one person's happy in this session, right? Okay, so kind of going.
What is your Facebook page where you can ask these questions and you're looking at it?
Yeah, it's actually it's elementary specific, but it's just called Canvas for Elementary. If you search it, it's got it's probably got 70,000 people in it. So you post something and you can get an answer pretty fast. Not necessarily from me, but from the community, absolutely. So yeah, it's just called Canvas for Elementary.
Hey, Carrie,
Yes.
on your pages, they stay within your course name, right? So when I'm creating pages, I don't get that big long list from all my courses. They stay within their own individual one, right?
Yes, great question. Yeah, so so this is my, obviously, Nebraska Sessions. So anything in this Nebraska Sessions course, those pages live here. Now,
Okay.
if I wanted to copy them into another course, I could, but it's not going to clutter up another
Right,
course's
okay.
pages.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay. All right, I'm going to hop back into my slide deck just to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Okay, so that was kind of like my little 2 cents on actually like managing your pages. Now, I do want to kind of jump in because I felt like there was a lot of people saying they're on the new side of things, and just make sure that everyone knows how to actually create a page and sort of what the possibilities are on a page. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to hop back over to my Canvas course. I'm going to click on Pages. If you have never created a page, yours is not going to show this. It's going to show this view, but it will be completely empty. And this is called the Pages Index page. Confusing, I know, but this is what this page is referred to as the Pages Index page. So obviously, if you've never created a page before, this would be completely empty. So then from here, I can just click the New Page button, and then that obviously opens up a new page for me to edit. I am using the new Rich Content Editor. So if yours looks different than mine, it's because you're still using the old Rich Content Editor. I should have looked up when the old one is going away, and I do not have it off the top of my head. But they basically function the same way, but they've just kind of created a new, more modern, I guess more efficient interface here. So the very first thing obviously you'd want to do is give it a title. If you don't give it a title, then you can't save it later. And then I want to just kind of talk about this box here. Most people don't realize that you can pull on this guy and make it longer. You can't make it wider, but you can make it longer. So if you're ever like, that's such a tiny space to work in, pull on that little guy and you can definitely make it at least a little bit bigger of a space to work in. And then essentially anything you can do in a Word document or a Google Doc, you can do in the Rich Content Editor. So obviously I can type details, I can give my students information, and then I can, just like in Word or Google Docs, I can change the size of that. I can make it bold, I can underline it. So all of the things, like I said, that you could do in a word processing, you can do here. I can even center it, and I can even make it a hyperlink. With hyperlinking, you have 2 options. You have an option of external links, which basically if I wanted to link to my Mentimeter, or I wanted to link to, you know, a website that I wanted my students to go to, then you would obviously select external link, and then you would just copy that and copy and paste the link here. Anything that is identified as an external link will open in a new tab. So, yeah, it'll open a new tab. Now you have the option also of a course link. So for some reason, if I wanted this to link within my course, I could select a page or an assignment within my course. And now this will actually open in the same window. So it will not open because it's identifying it as a course link. It opens in the same window. External links open in a new tab. But then from here, I have the option to add images. So I could upload an image from my computer, or once you've uploaded it once, it then actually stores it in the course. So then I could add an image from that I've already uploaded. And then obviously you can also course images are images I've loaded to just my course. User images are images I've uploaded to any course. So this kind of goes back to thinking about the pages just live in that course. So this gives me an option to pull images from any course that I have created, which is kind of a nice option there. This piece, and this is free. So I know some of you may have heard of Studio, but this is a free media recorder. It comes with the Rich Content Editor. So when I drop down here, I can actually upload something from my computer, or I can record a video, a screencast, or not a screencast, sorry, a webcam right here in the Rich Content Editor. So I could leave my students a little message. I can also, though, turn the webcam off, and then this will actually, here, I'm gonna go ahead and record it. So here I could actually give students verbal instructions, audio instructions. So when I finish that and save it, it puts this little kind of play button. Sorry, it's loading for my students. So if I was working with younger students, I could actually read. Oh, that's great. It's taking a while to upload. Sorry, guys. But basically, I could, read the instructions on the page, and then my students would have the option to click this and have it read to them. Or I could even keep the webcam on and create a video for them. This next piece is a file or document upload. So if I had a PDF or something that I wanted to upload, I could. And then, oh, there it goes. So see, yeah. So now my students could press play and actually hear me giving those instructions. This one is going to allow you to, I don't know what that guy does. No clue, and it's not telling me. So I don't know what that one does. Here, let me see if I have it on this. I do have this little guy that kind of walks through. Nope, it doesn't tell you. I have no idea what that one does. I don't want to click it and mess something up. But this one is a table, so you could add a table to your Rich Content Editor.
Mary, this is Peggy, and that will clear the formatting. In the box. So that's the format clearer. And the other thing that I found, and I'm in the college realm, and because we're so brand new with just some pilots this summer for Canvas, with more coming each semester, I took a class as a student. And the one thing that we found, of course, remember I'm college, I used the app that came on my phone, and anything that we did that used the audio recorder that you just used would not work on our apps. So that's something that we are getting in touch with Canvas to find out why.
Yeah, hopefully that's something they can fix, because that's a bummer.
We had a whole lesson on doing that. We had to make our own podcast because it was a technology class. And I set up my computer and it went fine, but I got on my phone and we found out that it wasn't going to work. So
that's too bad.
Keep that in mind if you're in the realm. I don't know how many young kids probably aren't going to use the app.
Well, I mean, potentially they might be on an iPad, but they can also use on an iPad. They can use Canvas in Safari browser as well. But that's a great point, Peggy. You're coming to all my sessions, Peggy. I got a 115. You better be there. I need a helper. No, but thank you for those tidbits. That's great. So then the next piece obviously is a table. I will say you want to be careful with tables when thinking about ADA compliance and accessibility. You want to make sure that you are adding the correct tags and that sort of thing. If you have students that would need to utilize a screen reader, tables are often difficult for a screen reader to read the content within it. So something to think about there. And then this is probably my favorite piece, and it all kind of depends on what your district puts here, but this little plugin guy brings up all these different possible apps for you to use. And my absolute favorite, obviously, is that Google connection. So this allows me to actually open up everything from my Google Drive. The very first time you do have to authorize, but after that, it is now synced up with my Google Drive, and I can pull in anything from my Google Drive and embed it into my Canvas page. So if I had a Google Doc that I wanted my students to look at, I could go ahead and embed that right into the page, and then my students would be able to see that Google Doc. So there's a lot of other plugins here that you might see from your district, but that's kind of district specific. So I don't want to jump too much into that. And then, yes.
One of our teachers was just trying this yesterday and she couldn't get it so that the Google Doc was uneditable. Is that uneditable now?
It is currently. You have to change your share settings. So within the Google Doc, so yeah, so if I were to save this and put it out to my students, they cannot edit this. But if I wanted them all to edit on it and be embedded there, then I would need to change my share settings within the doc, if that makes sense. So the default when embedding is to keep it secure, and so it can't be edited. But if you change your share settings, then it is editable by your students.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. And I tested that out because I thought that might come up, and I made sure that happened. And then the last couple of things I'm going to point out down here are, and this one is a big one right here, guys. And I already kind of mentioned this, that accessibility piece. You know, obviously, even if you don't currently have students that have accessibility needs, you don't know who might be coming into your classroom throughout the year. And I'd hate to have to rebuild an entire Canvas course because I didn't use this very quick button. So when I click on this little person, it actually is an accessibility checker. So it's really making sure that I've done my due diligence in making sure that this page is accessible. So it's basically saying like, oh, you don't have an alt text here. So I probably want to, it defaulted to the name. So I'm going to change it to welcome. So a screen reader would now read that as welcome instead of download.png. And then I can apply that. And I have no other accessibility issues. Look at that. But you can see how quick that was to just basically really just check me and make sure that I've done what I need to do in order to make it accessible for all students. And I am running out of time. Right? Yes, I'm running out of time. And then the last little piece is, this is an HTML editor. Now, you do not have to be an HTML guru to be able to use Canvas, but there are some instances where you might need to pop into that HTML editor, and you can do that just by clicking on that. But so if you ever accidentally get to this and you're like, what just happened to my Canvas course? Don't panic, scroll down, press that button, and then you're back to the normal view. But those are just kind of the pieces on a page that I wanted to highlight to kind of get you started in building your pages. Again, pages, they are essentially just a web page, if you will, to deliver content to your student without any call to action at the end. Okay. Oh, and I did want to share, I'll just touch on this, and it's something you can always like Google or come into my Facebook group and ask me, but you can embed things from other sites. So I was able to embed a Padlet on a page. Padlet gives me the ability to copy and embed code. And so when I talked about that HTML, so if I were to pop over here, and then I could paste that embed code, and then it would actually embed a Padlet onto my page. And I am sorry for that very, very short description of how to do that, but really any website that you go to, anything that you might use that you can, like my Mentimeter. Oh, I'll do that then real quick. Ooh, how do I exit, escape? My Mentimeter even has my ability to pull in a embed code. So I can just literally copy that embed code, hop over to my Canvas page, switch to HTML, paste the embed code, and now I have that Mentimeter embedded right into my Canvas page. So anything that you can pull an embed code from, you can paste in that HTML and be able to embed it on your page. Again, I am apologizing for that quick description of that, but just know that that is a possibility. And then before you go, please don't forget to fill out that feedback form. I will pop that into the chat. Oops, if I can select it, that's acting funny. Oh my goodness, acting really funny. And I know our session is over at this point, but I will stick around for anybody that might have questions. I know I'm kind of almost over time, I'm right at it. But if you have any questions that I did not answer during this session, feel free to stick around and ask questions. So hopefully this was beneficial for you guys, and I wish you luck in your school year.
Can you click and drag that stuff that you've put onto your page so you can rearrange it, or it just all goes in like a line order down the page as you add it?
Great question. So I do think of it more like a Word document where it is like stuck in that flow. So more like a Word document, less like a PowerPoint. You do have the ability though to do some justifications. You could left justify, center justify, or right justify. This is where some would argue tables could be a really good option because then you could put something in different cells, which would then allow you a little bit more, discretion in how you design that. But for the most part, think of it more like a Word document where you're kind of locked in to the flow of the page.
Hey, does cut and copy work then, or cut and paste?
Oh, yep, cut and paste. And undo is, it's Control Z or Command Z.
Yeah.
Will undo as well.
But I mean, like the last thing I put on there, I decide I want that to be at the top of the page. Can I cut it from the bottom and paste it at the top?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, so that helps.
Yeah. Oh, I should stop recording because I'm supposed to do